So Lori Scott, come on up. And her daughter.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight, and welcome to the new incumbents in their roles. So good to see you all. I'm Lori Scott. I'm Cassidy's mom here tonight as a parent to continue the discussion around the need to support all students in emergency planning process in school buildings. You're going to be hearing later on from Tom McNeil and Dave Ramsey on updates to the policy on 3010, of which I'm in support of, and the needs to plan and look at things differently with a different lens in regards to emergency planning than we've ever had to do before in schools. Unfortunately, it's a time in our world where we have to be thinking outside the box and be thinking not only when I was a student at Appleton High School, we didn't even have to talk about some of these things years ago, as well as in transportation and in bus safety. What do we do in regards to emergency planning? So I'm excited to hear what they have to say tonight. I specifically want to talk about what it means for Cassidy's needs in regards to emergency planning and evacuating her from schools, because as you know, she's the face of legislation signed into law 2 years ago. House Bill 1061 is emergency planning and evacuations for individuals with disabilities to school buildings. This legislation was brought forward here in HCPS as her written plan at the time in 2017 was to leave her on a stairwell landing at the time of an emergency, specifically a fire. And this is actually still the current practice today in a lot of districts. We worked aggressively with legislators to try to change that law and ensure that all people with disabilities would be accommodated for at the time of an emergency. And an accommodation means an aid or a device. It's not a two-person lift down a stairway or to place a person with disabilities in an area of refuge to be left for EMS to hopefully find them. I want to thank Tom and HCPSS for all of the support in changing this horrific practice in our school buildings. And I want to ask you for your support as we move forward with 3010, as well as the purchase of stairwell devices. That has been shown to you tonight on your board doc. They'll be discussing further the continued discussion and the support that's needed to ensure safety for all students and staff in schools. Cassidy cannot run, she cannot hide, she cannot fight. She must be placed in a device or an evacuation area of refuge that would be specific where people can know where she is if she cannot have access to her wheelchair, as she cannot ambulate downstairs, rubble, or debris. I want to thank Tom and his department, as well as the Department of Special Ed, and their efforts and talks and planning and having new processes to ensure that Cassidy gets out of buildings and is evacuated with her peers, not later, but with her peers. And I need your support to support all of those things. We want to make sure that all people are cared for in all different types of emergencies, and they all have specific needs, individualized needs. This subject matter is very, very important, and her life and many students and staff life, people with disabilities, life depends on our decision making at the time of emergency. So thank you very much for your support.